Welcome to Chats at the Gallery. I have here with me today Mr. Peris, a strategic advisor to startups. He's also the partner of Founders Bridge, a company that does advisory services to startups in Singapore and worldwide.
Yeah, mainly Southeast Asia, based in Singapore.
So why do you start up Founders Bridge?
Okay, so I had a startup about 12 years ago. I've had 4 startups, so I exited 2. My friend who was based here is a professor at INSEAD, and he created a global accelerator based in Toronto, Canada. And because of time zone issues, he said, would I help him mentoring? So that was my first taste of basically full-time mentoring startups, which would involve startups from around the world. They basically from about 40 different countries came. But that was back in 2020. And since then, of course, now about 400 founders from about 40 countries, as I mentioned. I'm the entrepreneur in residence at the Singapore Management University. They have 2 incubator cohorts a year. And I do a bit of work with NUS Enterprise Society, which is a student startup group. And also, I've worked with an accelerator in India and the American University of Beirut in Lebanon, which is something culturally different from me.
Yes. I understand you're also a judge for some startup competitions.
Yes, I'm a judge at the Lee Kuan Yew Global Business Plan competition. So this will be my second time being a judge, which is the richest university startup program in the world. I'm also a judge at the AI World Series held in Dubai. And because of just being known in the ecosystem, I judge at several Singapore demo days and pitch days.
As a judge for startup competition, what can you tell startups who are preparing for competition? What are the 3 key things that they should prepare themselves for?
Okay, look, when they pitch at the demo days, they don't treat it as a real event. It feels like it's the end of their semester assignment. The main thing is they need to appreciate how real that circumstance are, because you don't know who's in the audience. But one thing is have a clear slide deck. The demo days are very structured, right? You have 5 minutes to pitch and a few minutes of questions by the judges. So have a very clear slide deck that highlights the problem or what it is you're going to solve or what is it you're going to give people they didn't know they needed. Often that's not clear enough. And if you don't get that attention in the first few seconds, you kind of lose the momentum. So that would be number 1. Number 2 is you don't have to have a whole bunch of words, because when people are reading the words on your slides, they're not actually listening to what you're saying. So a couple of words, a couple of attention-grabbing words, diagrams, it's like pictures tell 1,000 words, right? So when people are doing their financials, for example, have a 1 graph, my expenses like this, my revenues like that. I can see where the break even is. I can see when you're going to start to make money. If it's a bunch of numbers, I can't calculate that. So visuals are important, not words. And the third thing is be compelling, is grab the attention straight away. Use words like, did you know? What if we could do this? You only have a few minutes and you have that 1 shot. So make it count.
Yes. I think that's a very good advice for startups. Maybe you can also share with us what does Founders Bridge do, and specifically what do you do?
Okay, so Founders Bridge is something that I started with a couple of my other buddies about two and a bit years ago. What we found, we all 3 of us met when we worked for an accelerator, and we were very happy and passionate to coach founders. But when they finished the accelerator, they were still adrift. They still hadn't completed, not everybody finishes at the same time. They still needed some advice. They still needed some help with opening doors, some refinement of theory, what to do next. So we started as an advisory firm, almost like CEO as a service. Not a great term, but it pictures exactly what it is. It's like 3 heads are better than 1. So we work with founders in a very hands-on, we do market research with them to develop their strategic plan, their 5-year plan, their tactical plan, or their 12-month to-do list, their capital strategy. Should they borrow? Should they get grants? Should they go for investment? What are their business operations like? When they get a customer, what's the onboarding process? And then what if there's a big order? Can they manufacture enough time? How do they deliver? What are these customer support issues? Are there any crisis management or risk management issues to be done? Do they need a board? Do they need a team of special advisors? So it's basically running a business. But we've done it hundreds of times, and we can see quite clearly, easily, reading a financial sheet, what they've missed or what they've over-exaggerated or not compensated for, things like that. So it's providing advice so that they don't make the same mistakes I made, for one, and it makes them investor ready.
Yeah. So basically you're preparing them for the next stage.
Most of them, yes.
What are the various stages that a startup goes through?
First stage is ideation, right?
Okay.
You got to have an idea. And how do you validate the idea? And don't be too scared about telling people an idea, because they're just ideas. The main thing is about executing the idea. So look at the idea, and I often use the Ikigai process, which is a Japanese philosophy or technique it's for your reason for being. So there are 4 elements. One is, what are you good at? And are you passionate about it? So if you have those 2 ticks, that's you done. Next thing is, does the world need it? If they don't need it, no need to program. If they need it, okay, then you say, are they willing to pay for it? If you have good answers for those, at least it's a reasonable idea worth exploring more. So first stage is ideation. Second thing is, now you go and validate that idea. No point asking your family, your cousins, your friends. They'll all say, to encourage you, what a great idea. So go and talk to community groups. Go and talk. There's plenty of LinkedIn groups. Put your stuff out there. Don't be scared for people to shoot you down. People say, what a great idea, right? So get that feedback and see what you get. So when you validate it, you know that there's a possibility someone will pay you for it. Then you develop it, right? You go through how you might develop it, MVP. MVP is really just to prove that the concept is real. It's not version 1. So there's often a saying, if you're proud of your MVP, you've done it too late. It's supposed to be clunky. It's supposed to say, like, here's how it can work.
It should not be perfect, the MVP.
There's no product that comes out version 1 and that's it. There's always a development. So at least get it to some basic level of operation. Then you're on your way, okay? How much do you need to develop it further? Do you need more skills? Do you need more money? Do you need more time? Do you need more raw materials? And all those things come together as the next big stage, right? It's how do I put all this together? Then you launch your product. And of course, you validated it, so you're confident the product's there. But not everybody knows about it. And one thing I find is a lot of people with great ideas, they don't go and tell everybody, look at this great thing I've done. So marketing is very important. And these days, people think, I'll just do a Facebook post. Well, if your audience is on Facebook, fine. If not, maybe they're LinkedIn people. Find out where your audience is and what social media avenues they might be. Sometimes they might just like, they just appear at a trade show. So it's not just one, don't rely just on social media. Advertising on buses work, right? At MRT stations, pamphlets, trade shows, but marketing covers all of that. Then go and sell, have a good product, and unfortunately you got to hit the street and sell. And that's the proof of the pudding.
Mm-hmm. We are all interested in the funding part.
Indeed. There's a spectrum of people. Some who really know what to do with the money, and some who have very little idea, except that, there's investors out there. And they're easy to spot. If I said, how much money do you need? And they tell me between 500,000 to 1.5 million. Well, that's a 200% gap. So what can you do with 1.5 million that you couldn't do with 500,000? If you have to build a factory and it's 500,000, then you've got nothing else left. Okay, so that's not always the case. So be sure about what you're going to use the money for, and make it transparent and make it clear in detail. And how long will that last you? Make sure that that can last you a minimum runway about 18 months. You might not make any revenue. It's like most things, right? You plan something, but it takes twice as long, twice the cost. So give yourself a bit of a buffer, a nice runway. Investors don't mind giving you more money. They don't want you to run out of money. So that, you run out of money, their investment's gone. So be realistic. But this is what the investment's for. And make sure that it will actually lead you to another level. That's the whole idea. No point that you're making $600,000 a year revenue and you want to go and chase a $200,000 investment. You'll spend 3 months, 4 months trying to convince people when you could have gone and got a loan, a business loan in 2 weeks, and you better pay it back. Okay, so capital strategy is important. So investment is important, but there are very clever investors out there. So you need to be spot on what those things are. And you got to be prepared. So if I give you this amount of money and it takes you 18 months, where will you be in 12 months' time? And you need to know. You need to have the answer prepared for the investor. He needs to have some confidence in what he's putting his money into. Often I'll see on pitch decks a bit of a pie chart, 40% product, 30% this, 20%. And what's the detail? It's okay if your detail is in another part of it, but a lot of people don't have that, right? Sometimes people just ask you, what's that 40% product? What does it comprise of? And you need to have that answer. Even if you don't have the detailed information, you need to be able to provide the answer to the investor.
Yes.
So don't forget, you're asking somebody else to put their faith in you and give you their money.
Yes. So you need to be as detailed and precise as possible. Maybe you can share some challenges and how you help them solve these challenges.
The number one challenge is money, investment. And maybe because that's how they start off. I'll do a bit of a startup and I'll get some investment. And when you go with that mindset, you have the problem straight away. So I think that's part of the problem, is that they've created that challenge from the first day that they want investment. There's plenty of money out there, but also investors are very choosy. So you've got to be able to win them over. Second challenge is they don't have a strong team. It could be them and a friend, but they don't have an expertise in a particular area. There could be two technical people who have a great technical product, but they don't have a business person. Or there could be two people from a business school, but they don't have a technical founder. So they don't understand building it. So the team is important. Often they may not also realize that they need some advisors. Advisors are not on your team directly, but they're there to provide some expertise in certain areas that you might not have. If you're setting up an art gallery, you need someone to know something about business, but you also need someone to know about the paintings and art and are they good and how they're made, right?
Yes.
That sort of stuff. So you do need subject matter expertise in different areas. I think that the two things is the challenge is the investment, the money they need to run the business, and if you don't need it, that's great. But very early stage startups, people know you don't have a product, so they look at you as a team. Is this team able to create the magic that you think you're hoping to get?
Any interesting stories that you can share that maybe there's a problem and you help them to overcome?
I can relate to one that's happened this week. 3 years ago, I coached a company from Tampa, Florida. They were developing an underwater drone, a lightweight underwater drone. They were looking for investment, and they worked with some ocean scientific groups in the US, and they were very good at that, but they needed some coaching input on the business side, so I helped them, and I was doing it for 3 years. Now they came to Singapore because it's Maritime Week, and they're exhibiting their underwater drone, an award-winning underwater drone, which the Singapore government's interested in, reported on the news. So for me, it's like a proud daddy, right?
Oh, yes. Graduation day.
Yes, to see something that I saw from an early, it was more than an idea, but to see that it's now being accepted as something around the world.
I guess you really work with many startups from very, very different industries.
I'm a mentor at different places, and so I don't know. So I learn more than they learn from me, because every time I meet a mentor, some company, it's something completely different. So I have to learn about them. For what the knowledge I give to them, it's the same thing all the time, basically, right? So I enjoy it because it's more than two-way. I learn. To me, I'm the beneficiary here. So I enjoy that element. But they come from all parts, all sorts of things. It could be an e-commerce, sustainable organic snack food company that we work with in Malaysia. A robotics company in Singapore. It's like a robotic 7-Eleven.
To give advice, even though they are in different industries.
The way I see it is, you can make a good pancake, but you don't know how to price it or tell people that you make a good pancake or open a little restaurant and what to order in front of. I know how to do that, but I have no idea how to make a pancake. So that's why when it's complementary like that, it works very well. Yeah. That's why I say two heads are better than one in that circumstance.
Yes. Yeah, so that's very interesting because do a lot of startups use advisors like yourself?
Yes, they do when they're part of an accelerator program because they're available. But they don't go. I mean, we charge people for it, right? I mean, it's their expertise. I don't think they use it enough.
Yes, I think startup advisors do have a role. Yeah, even precisely because your budget is tight, all the more you need to have expertise to tell you where you should exactly go for to pinpoint you in the right way.
I guess a little bit ironical, the people that want to use us, they've already made their money, but they've plateaued. So they have a bit of cash behind them, so they know they can use us, but they haven't been able to get off that plateau to the next level. But they've done well to get to that plateau anyway. Right? So they're the ones that we tend to attract most. Although I can speak to anybody, but the ones who say, hey, can we have another discussion, tend to be those sorts of people who are scaling up to the next level, as opposed to, I haven't got my first round of investment yet.
For example, a person who is starting up a startup, what are the 3 tips that you can share?
When they're starting up, many things can go wrong. The main thing is they're never sure about, am I doing the right thing, right? Because it's too early days. So they need to have this belief that there really is something out there and they can see a bigger picture. And you've got to know that in your heart. Otherwise, it could just be a money-making sideline, which is fine. But if you really want to change the world, you've got to believe you can change the world. So I think the self-belief is a very important thing. The other thing is, it's the hardest thing you're ever going to do.
Starting a startup is the hardest thing
It's the hardest thing you can ever do, right? There's no regular paycheck. There's no medical plan. There's no annual leave. So just
after office hours.
Yeah, so you better have some kind of financial safety net, because whether you got a lot of money or you're a startup, you still have to have groceries that you need every week. So you better be sure somehow in your life, somebody or something is taking care of that element. And, you hear stories, I sleep in the office and all that. Good stories, but you still need to go and buy your miracle sandwiches and things like that. So the financial is another element. People, they don't know how long it's going to last. Okay, so that's the other thing. The third thing is just put yourself out there. There's a whole community. Now, Singapore, what a wonderful place. There's a huge ecosystem. 70% of the investments in Southeast Asia come to Singapore. 70% of the deals done in this region are in Singapore. Singapore's a great place to have your business. So use all the things. There's so many government departments, private accelerators, advisors, clubs, networking, that you will meet people, and they're all welcome because they've all been at the same stage you're at, and they know exactly where you're coming from. Put yourself on LinkedIn. Don't be afraid to put your picture out there, get your profile done, tell them what you do, because people do look at LinkedIn. You go to a meeting, what do people do? They go and see, who's this person? Sometimes even to see, I'm going to meet someone, I want to see what the photo looks like to recognize them. And if it's not on LinkedIn, contact people. Contact me.
Yes, definitely. We have to contact Doug as an advisor to startups. The Chats at the Gallery is first of a series that we hope to introduce experts in their areas. Yeah, by having a discussion in my art gallery. Yeah, because art is not just about paintings, art is about life. Yeah, so all of us are sharing our life experience, whether it's through work or through our hobbies. Yeah, so thanks, Doug, for coming to chats at the gallery.
Oh, so great. Thank you. I mean, it's great. This was fun.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. See you.